Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Paige, here once again with another video on Legends of Tomorrow Season 3. So I haven't done a Legends bonus video for a while, but it's mainly because usually I only have a couple of days over the weekend to actually fit other videos in, and most of the time it's filled with either Flash and Arrow stuff. You know, sometimes Legends and of course Supergirl fall by the wayside, I guess you could say. But we're back doing a bonus Legends video. Legends has started off very strong. It's easily the best DC show this season. If you want to argue against that, fair enough. But in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions as well that watch the show, it's the best show in regards to the DC CW stuff this season so far. That could change, obviously. But heading into this season, we did know that Gorilla Grodd would be making an appearance in this season. We'll talk about like maybe some changes they made with his appearances in this season later on in the video. But we last saw Gorilla Grodd in The Flash, obviously, where he is, popping up more regularly in the Gorilla City 2-parter, which I enjoyed last season. I think it was probably the most weak of the 2-part special things that they've done, but I thought it was still really enjoyable and awesome to see Gorilla Grodd back, might I say. Getting a bit tongue-tied because I'm so excited about doing this video, and just seeing Gorilla City as well was pretty damn awesome. Now, they did release the synopsis as well as promo images, yes, promo images, for episode 7 of this season, where Gorilla Grodd will be appearing for at least the first time. Once again, as I said, we'll talk about Gorilla Grodd further into this video in regards to the future of this season and him. But of course, we will go over both of those, but do let me know in the comments section down below what you're looking forward to most from this episode and your different opinions on what I say throughout this video, because there are, a few points to talk about from the synopsis. And of course, if you do go on to enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you are new. With Sarah out of commission, the team finds a new anachronism that leads them to the jungles of Vietnam and right in the middle of the war. Ray, Amaya, and Zari pose as journalists and trek through the jungle when they are led to a time-displaced Gorilla Grodd. Meanwhile, Nate and Rory run into someone Rory knows, which gives a glimpse into his past. So I guess the first thing to talk about from this synopsis, which I'm sort of surprised by, but now that I think about it, I'm not that surprised by, and that is the first bit where it says that Sarah is out of commission. Now, at first I was thinking, oh god, maybe like the Time Bureau got her or something, but then I remembered that the episode after this is actually the crossover. This is the episode that will lead into the big Crisis on Earth X crossover with all the DC TV shows on the CW. So because she's out of commission, I think she's actually at Barry's wedding. She's got like leave, if you want to call it that, from the Legends and gone to Barry's wedding. And there's more evidence to this because Brandon Routh, who plays Ray Palmer, did an interview with a bunch of journalists recently, and he said that Ray actually isn't invited to the wedding. And he says that only some of the Legends. He says some of the Legends, and I was thinking the only Legend that will most likely be invited would be Sarah or maybe Martin Stein as well. They're the only two I could actually see being invited to the wedding if Ray wasn't invited. I thought it was surprising that Ray wasn't invited to the wedding, but it does seem that Sarah is out of commission in this episode because she's at the wedding, and that's going to be sort of like the bridge to bring the Legends in. So Sarah will be there when, shit goes down, sorry for swearing, and then she'll get the Legends to come back and help them. So I think that's what they're doing here and how they're going to connect the Legends to the crossover. So obviously this episode is going to be set during, or in Vietnam, might I say, during the Vietnam War. Now, from memory, that's in like the 1960s when it was very heavy, like a lot of countries were involved in it. Like the Vietnam War went for like 20 or 25 years or something like that. But like the 1960s was like the peak period of the war, if you want to call that, when a lot of different countries were involved. Now, I must say, if we do not get some Creedence Clearwater Revival playing through this episode at least once, or at least like a reference to it, I'm going to smash my TV, because there needs to be some Creedence Clearwater Revival. If you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube that Creedence Clearwater Revival and you'll understand what I'm getting at. Now, obviously, the big part of this synopsis and the big part of this episode is, yep, you guessed it, and it's in the title, Gorilla Grodd is back. And this isn't too surprising because, as I said, even before this season started, but before I even started watching it, they did confirm that Gorilla Grodd would be in this season of Legends. Now, the thing that might be different, because I just don't know how they're going to work him into it, is that they said that Grodd was meant to be in a team with Kawasa and Damien Dark. Now, obviously we know that like Malice, or Mollis, however you want to pronounce it, is like the big bad for this season. And I just don't know how they would like incorporate Grodd. It's a lot of CGI, it's pretty expensive. Like Legends already is an expensive show to do. without even bringing in Gorilla Grodd into the picture. So I think Gorilla Grodd might just be in this episode, or he might appear like in one more episode later in the season, but just don't think he connects into that group that Malice or Mollus, sorry for like changing it up, but I don't think he fits into that group because it's more supernatural and mystical, while Grodd is more like sci-fi, if that makes sense. So I'd be very surprised if Grodd is involved with that team. I think they might have changed their plans as they went into this season, which does happen. Sometimes they'll say things before the seasons even start, and then when they get further into the seasons, they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't work, or maybe we don't have the budget to use Grodd as much as we would like. So I don't think Grodd will be in this team with Dark and Kawasa, but we'll have to wait and see. But it is just awesome having Gorilla Grodd back as it is. Now, you'd have to think he is the anachronism because obviously he is a time-displaced Gorilla Grodd. He's not meant to be in the 60s. But it will be interesting to see what he's doing in this time period. Like, is he helping the Vietnamese? Like, does he feel like sorry for them? And, you know, he's helping them to combat the other forces? That would be pretty interesting to see. Or maybe Gorilla Grodd is taking advantage of some things in the Vietnam War, which once again wouldn't be too surprising because Gorilla Grodd is a bad guy. But do let me know all of your opinions on Gorilla Grodd, and if you think he's going to be in that team with Kawasa Dark and like under Malice and stuff like that, just let me know in the comments because it's pretty unclear at this moment what's going on with him, and we'd have to wait till we actually saw this episode to find out what he's going to be doing later on this season if he does appear. Now, Mick is meeting a familiar face in this episode, and it's actually someone called Dick Rory. Have a laugh that his name is Dick. Go ahead, I'll give you a couple of seconds to have a laugh about it. But this is obviously a relative of Mick, and because his name's Dick and Mick's name is Mick, you would have to think it's maybe his father. You would think it's his father. I don't think it'd be his grandfather because I think that's just a bit too old. Unless this is like an older person in the army when he's in the Vietnam War. But you'd have to think it's his father or maybe his uncle. Like either his father or his uncle, one of the two. Now we did get a promo image of like Mick holding his gun up to Dick Rory and Dick Rory holding his gun up, except I think Mick's would win. And I'd rather just be shot in the head and killed rather than lit on fire. So I think if someone's going to get shot, if they're going to both shoot, I think Dick gets the short end of the stick here because it's a worse way to die. But obviously the synopsis does say we will get a glimpse into his past. Now, you'd have to think this is Mick, so I'm assuming this is going to be like the after effects of the war. I am hoping it's Mick's father, and it shows like Mick's father coming back from the war and like having the after effects of the war and taking it out on his son, and it shows how Mick became like the person he was when we first met him on The Flash, and it's sort of like contrasts to what Mick is now, because during Legends, Mick has had this like rebuilding phase of himself as a person, which I think would be a really good part of the episode if that's what they go for. But let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Now, we do have a couple of shots of Zari interacting with a Vietnamese woman here. Now, I think what would be really nice in this episode, and I think they might actually be going for it, is if Zari has like a connection to the Vietnamese people. Because as we know, Zari was like in a dystopian future, like she was basically sort of in the same situation as the Vietnamese here, as both a metahuman and as a person that is religious. So I think that would be actually a really nice thing if they did that in this episode where she has that connection to the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese might be a bit standoffish at first. We do see a picture of one of the Vietnamese women actually pointing a gun at Zari, but that might be resolved and they'll sort of work together to find out what's going on here. And you never know, Grodd might be in charge of these Vietnamese and like using them as almost like his slaves or something. So it's about Zari and the other legends. In this case, it seems to be just Ray and Amaya and maybe Jax helping out take down Gorilla Grodd so the Vietnamese can rebuild in this area they're in. But once again, we'll have to wait and watch the episode to find out what's going on there. Now, Captain Cold is meant to be appearing in the crossover. So this is the episode before the crossover. They said that he's going to be tied to Legends this season. So you would think he would be back this episode. I don't know. There's nothing really hinting at Captain Cold or as Citizen Cold as he's going to be referenced in the crossover, because this is like a new version of Leonard Snart. So I don't know what they're doing here, if he's going to be appearing in this episode at all. Maybe at the end of it, it's like a cliffhanger and then it continues on to the crossover. Or if we're just going to meet this new version of Leonard Snart in the crossover and then he's in Legends for the episodes following that. So we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of the crossover, we could be possibly getting a new trailer for it later today from when this video was uploaded, or just later this week at some time. Now, the reason I say that is because last year, they actually released a trailer around the same time. So I think it was like about a 30-second trailer, you know, like the normal promo length they would do, around 30 seconds. And then I think they released around like a minute and a half one, about a week and a half, maybe a week away from the crossover. Now, they might not do it because they might not want to spoil too much, but they really do need to hype up this crossover because even me, I can't believe how close this crossover is. It felt like it was like ages away only a couple of weeks ago, and now it's only 2 weeks away. So it's not being that heavily like advertised. So I think they really need to ramp that up, and hopefully they do release another trailer this week. So keep your eyes out for that. Not only on my channel, but just on like the internet in general. Just keep your eyes out for it. I think it will come out later today, but they're going to release it because they usually release it like stuff like this with Supergirl. But we'll have to wait and see once again, and just keep your eyes out for it. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support for the Legends videos. Let me know in the comments section down below all of your opinions on the stuff I've said in this video about Gorilla Grodd and all the stuff like that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.